My name is Doyle, and I'm 27 years old. I live in a small town in the United States, and for most of my adult life, love has felt like a stranger to me. Not the kind you wave at across the street, but the kind that walks past without even noticing you. I wasn't ugly, and I wasn't mean. I had a decent job at a local office, I paid my bills, and I tried to be kind to everyone. But still, I was always alone. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, do well to subscribe, like, and hit on notifications. To all my returning subscribers, thanks for stopping by. Let us begin. People around me made it look so easy. My high school friends were all married or in serious relationships. They posted pictures of engagements, babies, and anniversaries. Every time I scrolled through social media, I felt like I was behind in some race I never signed up for. I went on dates, but none of them turned into anything real. Some men ghosted me after one coffee. Others said I was too serious or not exciting enough. It hurt, but I learned to hide the pain behind a smile. My mother used to say, maybe you're just too picky. But I didn't think that was true. I wasn't asking for a movie star or a billionaire. I just wanted someone kind, someone who would look at me like I mattered. Was that too much? There were nights when I cried myself to sleep. Nights when I stared at the ceiling and asked God why everyone else found love so easily. I wondered if something was wrong with me. I questioned my worth. I started thinking maybe love just wasn't in the cards for me. I remember one evening clearly. I had just come back from a friend's wedding. Everyone was dancing, laughing, taking pictures with their partners. I sat at the table, smiling politely, sipping my drink, pretending I wasn't the only one there alone. On the ride home, I didn't cry. I was too tired to cry. I just felt numb. It wasn't like I didn't try. I joined dating apps. I went to events. I dressed up, practiced conversation starters, and kept an open mind. But nothing worked. The men I liked never liked me back. And the ones who showed interest were often not serious or respectful. Then came the worst night. I overheard two coworkers talking in the break room. They didn't know I was standing nearby. One of them said, "Doyle's sweet, but I don't think she'll ever find a guy. She's just too plain." I walked away quietly, holding back tears. That comment stuck in my heart like a thorn. I started to believe I wasn't enough. I stopped trying. I deleted my dating apps, stopped going to events, and poured myself into work. I thought if I couldn't find love, I might as well be good at something else. So I worked longer hours, took on extra projects, and avoided people. I told myself I was happy being single. But deep down, I wasn't. Then one morning, everything began to change, though I didn't know it yet. I spilled coffee on my blouse at work and had to run to the supply closet to find paper towels. That's where I met Joseph. He was new. A soft-spoken man with kind eyes and a gentle smile. He was holding a box of office supplies and trying to balance a coffee cup on top. When he saw my stained shirt, he smiled and handed me a napkin from his cup holder. "Looks like you've had a rough morning," he said with a chuckle. I smiled back, just a little. "You could say that." We talked for a few minutes. It was nothing deep. Just small talk about the weather, the noisy printer, and the bad coffee in the break room. But something about his calm voice and kind eyes stayed with me. For the first time in a long while, I walked back to my desk feeling a little lighter. After that first encounter in the supply closet, I began noticing Joseph more often. He worked in the IT department and had recently transferred from a different branch. He wasn't flashy or loud, but there was something comforting about him, like a warm blanket on a cold day. Every time he passed by my desk, he'd nod or smile. Some days, we'd chat briefly in the break room, always about simple things, coffee, weekend plans, or funny stories from the office. It wasn't love at first sight. It wasn't a dramatic movie scene with violins playing in the background. It was slow, natural, and gentle. And honestly, I didn't expect anything from it. After so many disappointments, I had trained my heart to keep expectations low. But deep down, a small hope was starting to grow. One Friday evening, as most of the office emptied out early, I stayed behind to finish a report. Joseph popped his head into my office. "Still working late?" he asked. I laughed lightly. Trying to impress the boss. Or at least avoid Monday panic. He smiled. "Mind if I keep you company? I'm fixing the server, but it'll take a while to reboot." I nodded, and he came in. We talked for nearly an hour. This time, not just about work. I learned that he loved hiking and reading mystery novels. He had 2 younger sisters and grew up in a small town, just like me. He listened when I spoke, really listened, not just waiting for his turn to talk. He looked at me like I mattered. And for the first time in a long while, I felt seen. That night, I went home with a strange feeling, like maybe, just maybe, something was changing. Over the next few weeks, Joseph and I grew closer. We started having lunch together at work. We shared stories about our childhood, our dreams, and even our disappointments. I told him about my failed dates and how I'd given up on love. I expected him to laugh or pity me. But he didn't. Instead, he said, "Doyle, I don't think you're hard to love. I think the right people just didn't see your heart." Those words touched something deep inside me. I had been waiting for years to hear someone say that. One day, he asked if I wanted to grab dinner outside of work. My heart skipped a beat, but I kept calm. "Sure," I said, trying not to sound too excited. We went to a quiet little diner. Nothing fancy, just warm food and good conversation. He was easy to be around. There was no pressure to impress, no fear of being judged. I could be myself. After dinner, we walked outside. It was chilly, and he offered me his jacket. As he draped it over my shoulders, he looked into my eyes and said softly, "Doyle, I like you. A lot. I've never met anyone like you." I didn't know what to say. No one had ever said that to me with such honesty. So I said the truth. "I like you too." That night, he held my hand for the first time. It felt simple, pure, and real. The days that followed were filled with joy I hadn't felt in years. Joseph treated me like I was special. Not in a grand, dramatic way, but in the quiet moments that mattered. He remembered little things, like how I took my coffee or which book I was reading. He always made time for me, even on busy days. He respected my boundaries and made me feel safe. He didn't play games. He didn't make me feel like I had to earn his attention. He gave it freely, with warmth and sincerity. And most of all, he never made me feel like I had to change. For the first time in my life, I felt chosen, not because I was perfect, but because I was me. But as happy as I was, part of me still doubted. I had been let down so many times before. What if this, too, didn't last? One evening, I sat on my couch, staring at my phone. Joseph had texted me, "Want to come over tomorrow? I want you to meet someone special, my mom." My heart raced. That was big. I wasn't sure I was ready. But when I saw him the next day, he smiled and said, "I told her about you. She's excited. I've never introduced anyone to her before." That's when I knew he was serious. That this wasn't a game. I smiled back, tears welling in my eyes. I'd love to meet her. Meeting Joseph's mom was the moment everything became real. Her name was Linda, and she welcomed me with the warmest hug I had ever received. She made us tea, shared old stories about Joseph, and by the end of the evening, I felt like I had been part of their family for years. Joseph sat next to me, holding my hand the entire time. I noticed the way he looked at me when I spoke, the quiet pride in his eyes, like he was lucky just to sit beside me. That look alone washed away years of self-doubt and loneliness. After we left his mom's house, he turned to me in the car and said, "I told her you're the one I've been waiting for." Tears spilled down my cheeks. I had waited so long to hear something like that. All the pain, all the rejection, all the nights I cried alone, they suddenly made sense. It was like my heart had been waiting for his all along. Life didn't become perfect overnight, but it did become beautiful. Joseph wasn't a fairy tale prince. He didn't ride a white horse or sweep me off my feet with magic. What he gave me was better, consistency, trust, and love that showed up every single day. We laughed together. We supported each other through tough times. He encouraged me to chase my dreams. He reminded me that I was enough, not just for him, but for myself. One evening, we sat on a park bench watching the sunset. Joseph turned to me and said, "You know, Doyle, you've changed the way I see life. You love so deeply, even after all the hurt you've been through. That's strength." I smiled. I used to think no one would ever want me. But now I realize, I was just waiting for someone who could truly see me. He kissed my forehead gently. "And I do. I see you. All of you. And I love everything I see." That moment sealed it for me. I no longer felt like a girl who had been passed over. I was a woman who had survived heartbreak, grown stronger, and finally found the love I deserved. Sometimes, people ask how we met. I always smile and say, over spilled coffee and small talk. But the truth is, we met when I was finally ready to believe that I was worthy of love, not just any love, but a real, honest, deep kind of love. The kind that doesn't demand you change, but holds your hand through all your flaws and fears. Looking back now, I don't regret the years of loneliness. They taught me patience. They taught me how to love myself first. And most of all, they taught me that the right love doesn't rush in, it arrives when you're ready, and it stays. Joseph and I are building a life together now. We talk about marriage, about family, and about growing old side by side. Every morning when I wake up and see his sleepy smile, I thank God that I didn't give up. Because when love finally found me, it was everything I ever dreamed of, just wrapped in quieter moments and deeper meaning. To anyone out there who feels unseen, unwanted, or unloved, please don't give up. Your story isn't over. The right person will come along and love you not despite your past, but because of it. They'll love your strength, your journey, and your heart. I'm Doyle. I was 27 when I thought I'd be alone forever. But love chose me, and it will choose you, too. Have you ever imagined yourself in this kind of situation? And I know so many things could be going on in your mind. What did you do about it? Subscribe to this channel, like, and hit on notifications for more interesting stories like this.